Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the SCG 25K Teams Trio event. My name is Will Hall, better known on the internet as Will Hall Experience, and my dance partner for this weekend is none other than Jarvis Yu, and we're going to be bringing you round number 3 here of this Team Trios. Remember, the Team Trios consist of Pioneer, Modern, and Legacy. Your team has to win 2 of the 3 seats. So you got a loss to give if you need be, and this is going to be 8 rounds of Swiss today. We're going to come back tomorrow. We're going to have another 5 rounds with a cut to top 6. When we get close to the time, you'll start hearing more about cut to top 6. Normally you hear cut to top 8. I understand, but this is a cut 6 because it is a team event and we do things slightly differently. But Jarvis, we've seen a lot of Magic so far. We've seen a lot of Yawgmoth and we've seen a lot of Grixis Delver. So we're mixing it up this round, right? What decks are we going to be seeing?
I believe Travis Brown, the person Honorog interviewed, their legacy seat is playing Doomsday. Travis himself is playing Mono White Hammer, I believe, with no Solitude this weekend, or do we have Solitude? The Solitudes are in the sideboard, interestingly enough. But yeah, it'll be Doomsday versus Teamer Cascade in the legacy seat. You heard it here, folks. That's not a mistake. Teamer Cascade, aka Rhinos in legacy.
I'm all here for this. You know what I mean? Like, I know there's some very, very popular streamers that are very into this sort of deck. How come this deck's moving from Modern into Legacy, and what sort of extra tools does it gain?
So funny you asked that. I think the origins of the deck being played in Legacy do trace back to the Zoomers thinking about, okay, why can't we play Rhinos in Legacy? How do we change the deck? Because there's certain other cards are allowed to play, like Elvish Spirit Guide and Simian Spirit Guide, allowed to go a lot faster. So in essence, Rhinos is just a much faster deck in Legacy, backed up by like 8 forces and an incredible mix and boot as a finisher.
And I'm going to ask you, how much do those 8 forces come into play here against Doomsday? Obviously, we know this is a super efficient combo deck, uses discard greatly to try and free up the way for it to be able to resolve the most a powerful free drop like Doomsday. For people that just tune in and like don't know about Doomsday or how it works, give us a brief description of how it goes.
Oh, brief is all I can give you because I'm not a great pilot of this deck. I think this deck is kind of complicated. Essentially, the card Doomsday is a BBB sorcery from Weatherlight. It allows you to basically search your graveyard and deck for 5 cards and basically exile everything else and arrange those 5 cards how you want on top of your deck. Generally, the kills have gotten a lot cleaner because of the printing of Thassa's Oracle from Theros Beyond Death.
Oh, interesting. Just for myself, what was the preferred win con before Thassa's Oracle?
Usually Laboratory Maniac and like Chromatic Sphere. And the reason Chromatic Sphere was played was it lets you get around removal because the draw doesn't use the stack, so your opponent instantly dies.
Okay, as we see, both players now drawing their opening hands. It looks like we've got mulligans for both players. I think Christian is down to a mull to 5, where David on the left of your screen, I think it's just a 6, but does have a turn 1 Thoughtseize if they want to go that route. Remember, look at these hand cams. We've got hand cams, gameplay cams, player cams, all this qualification, all this production coming to you live on this channel. So please do support it. Hit that follow button, watch it, and if you've got a free prime, do throw it at them. How how much does it kind of mulligan on the teamer side here? Like, you see, it's like a fast combo deck, but surely that you need a vast majority of cards to be able to do this fast, explosive turn. And is that even enough if I got 8 power on the battlefield turn 1, say?
In this matchup, it might be because the problem with Doomsday, if you don't kill the same turn, is it actually halves your life total as well. So basically, if you cast Doomsday, say at 16 life, versus a pair of 4/4 Rhinos, you actually die.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's interesting. As we starting off here on David's side with that turn 1 Thoughtseize. I'm going to ask you a question, and it's the same question I'm going to ask chat. What is your Thoughtseize art of choice when you play in paper?
Mine is original Lorwyn Thoughtseize. I have 4 simplified Chinese ones. I've had those since Lorwyn came out.
Oh, so just OG printing, just going with the whole boomer effect. I love it. I'm in the same boat as you. I must I've got these. I do have the slightly newer Thoughtseize Secret Lair ones that got released quite. It was like a lot of wispy ghosts or skulls and stuff flying around on it. So I've got a couple of different arts to choose from depending on what deck I'm in. But this Thoughtseize resolving. What do you like taking here?
So I think you can really justify taking either Shardless Agent or Force of Negation, which is why David pulled those other cards to the side. Um, I think I would actually be inclined to take Shardless Agent given his hand. He doesn't have a Doomsday setup already, and I actually think if you count the cards, they both went to 5 cards because it's Thoughtseize Land and 3 other cards, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Not ideal for combo decks going down this low, but
Mhm.
you know they are still quite powerful in this quite very powerful format. David decides to go with the Force, trying to potentially show up his side of the combo. This is something that happens a lot in Magic, right? Players they play a lot to not lose, and entitled don't play to win. You know, it's all knowing your spots and when to point that out. We've seen in Legacy already numerous times how these micro decisions come into either winning or losing the game. So we'll see if how that Thoughtseize plays out in this game as we're going to go pass the turn, Island, Indoor, Ponder. Days, Force of Me, and a Delta are the 3 cards seen here. We can put them back in the order and draw a card or shuffle. We'll see what David wants to go with. Here's the look at this production. Look at that hand quality, hand cam, ladies and gentlemen. If that in itself isn't worth a follow this channel, I don't know what is. And it looks like we're just gonna take a shove. Then like any of those 3. Are we just
Yeah,
looking for the namesake card of the deck, Doomsday?
I think we're looking for a Personal Tutor or a Doomsday. Yeah. I thought I saw one in David's hand, so I'm not sure. But it I guess if we had one, we probably wouldn't have shuffled there. It's kind of hard to get a close look. But the problem I have here is Christian can actually make a turn 2 Rhino. Oh, if that Spirit Guide had been drawn last turn, we'd have actually had a turn 1 Rhinos off the double Spirit Guide. But here, we fetch Revoke, pitch Elvish Spirit Guide, and play Shardless Agent, cascade into Crashing Footfalls. This is the primary difference between the Rhinos deck in this format versus the Rhinos deck in Modern. You turn to Rhinos a large portion of the time because of 8 Spirit Guides.
Let's see if we can see that. That was a very quick fetch. As here comes the Spirit Guide. As you said, here comes the Cascade card. Obviously, 8 of them in this deck, and we get to go through. So we get a little bit of information here on David's side, seeing what's in the deck, potentially trying to work out what's not in the hand. And here comes
Ooh.
a Days Spirit
And the
Guide to pay
fucking
for the
Spirit Guide to
Days.
save! Oh.
Yeah. Beautiful there. Okay, well, I understand the appeal of this deck in this format now. That
Yeah.
is sick. Using Spirit Guides,
Mhm.
obviously cards that are very, very banned in Modern to great use here. That is a Force of Me drawn off the top of the deck. Not ideal right now, but turn too late as there is now 10 power on the battlefield. Crashing in here for Christian, dropping David down to 7.
This is kind of why I wanted to take the Shardless Agent instead of the Force of Negation. Just because we didn't have our combo lined up quickly enough. I think we can work through a Force of Negation with our cantrips and discard, but we certainly can't work through the fact that we're going to get hit by 10 twice.
Yeah, there's so much power going on the battlefield. We did see a Doomsday drawn for the turn. Here comes a Dark Ritual. I know that you've been posting some beautiful photos of Dark Ritual recently on Twitter. And I think they've just wanted to show, say, look, I can make 3 mana if I want to, but he's going to be scooping them up here as Christian takes down game number 1. So, you know, David's team, they are a feature match this round. So we do get to put their deck list up on the screen for you all to see at home. Here it is. Here's the Doomsday's list. Anything you like bringing out the sideboard here? Are we going to try and transition more to a creature matchup, or are we going to focus more on the combo?
The card I do like is actually Shieldred. Um, it's been classically said in Modern that Rhinos has a tough time beating like a 4 or 5 Tarmogoyf, and Shieldred is just that with some extra text added on. So I think, depending on the exact plan of the person, Doomsday is really, really complicated because like you can justify putting almost any card in the deck, and even a single copy can make your games a lot more complicated because you can always put it in your pile. But I think I'm inclined to put the Shieldreds in my deck. I'm just not sure what to cut.
Sure. You know, I do see a lot of one-ofs in here and quite a few four-ofs. So we obviously in the booth we do have access to everyone's deck list. We can see what they're working with, but we don't have permission to put the Team Cascade one on. But so let's just have a little look see between me and you. What cards here in this sideboard do you think will be coming in? Without trying to give too much information on the full 15, but you know,
Mhm.
what are the handful of cards that you think are going to come in, and what cards do you think are bad in this matchup?
I would say most of anything that's like spot removal or bounce, which you do see in a lot of Rhinos decks, is not great. Uh, oh, actually, we can see Christian sort of shuffling in his sideboard and siding it out. He shuffled in Inevitable Betrayal, Brotherhood's End, Fury, Blood Moons, but most of them are not in the deck. It looked like to me that there was a Mystical Dispute shuffled in, and that's obviously an excellent card.
Yeah, like we've seen that again popping up in modern, very powerful. It is a free drop. Just we try not to cast it for free. We try and use it for the one. There it is on the screen for you all. And if you are just tuning in, welcome. This is round number 3 of the SCG 25K Team Trios. We are going to be bringing you mostly modern and legacy all weekend. We're not going to touch the Pioneer seat. We've seen a lot of that recently with the RCs that have popped up, but we haven't seen a lot of modern and legacy as well. So we're trying to get you as much legacy and screen time as much, because we know people at home, you all want to see this. And I know, Jarvis, you definitely want to see this, being a legacy enthusiast. Are there any decks props up in the format recently because of the new Lord of the Rings set that you're hoping to see this weekend?
My favorite deck that I think might not be heavily known about is the Mystic Forge slash One Ring 8 Voltaic Key deck in Legacy. Obviously, it's been played in Modern to some degree, but I think it's at a whole different level in Legacy because of the Soul Lands being able to power out the One Ring, Karn, or Mystic Forge on turn 2 pretty consistently.
So make sure you get that recommendation into, and I know he's listening. See if he can go around the top tables. If someone is playing that, he'll try to get it on screen, I'm sure. As we see both players sideboarding here with the beautiful hand cams that we do have. This is a one-man band production, ladies and gentlemen. This is one person bringing you, flying to these events, setting these cameras up, doing the overlays, doing the screens, talking to the directors, getting the players sat down, tablets, getting us casters in the right location at the right time. And let me tell you, we are drama queens at the best of time. So please, if you can support this channel, I want you to hit that follow button. I want you to watch this channel. I want you, if you've got Amazon Prime, to throw it at this channel if you've got it going spare, or even if you want to pay, you can pay and subscribe to this channel. All of it is supported. None of this is paid for by anybody else aside from the person that's bringing all this. If we can subsidize it in any way, I think we all should, because I think you'll agree with me. This paper magic is the best, highest level production you can possibly get from one person in a backpack. This is insane production, and we need to support it. We need to protect him at all costs. And the best way to protect him is obviously using our Amazon Prime, using our time to watch this channel and bringing it all to you. As both players are just finishing up their sideboarding. Does play draw? I imagine I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway, just to make sure, because I'm not a legacy enthusiast. I'm slowly getting there. Play draw dependent is huge in this matchup. Am I correct in
Yeah,
saying that?
I think so. And also, I saw David reach for the personal tutors and 2 Street Wraith to sideboard out. I'm not sure what was sided in. Generally, I would say personal tutor is a better game 1 card than rather as opposed to a game 2 card because a lot of things mess it up in game 2.
And does the game plan change for either of these two decks, or are we both just Christians? I'm putting power on the battlefield as quick as possible and turning it sideways, where David's going Doomsday, or is David going to start moving more to a controlling, mid-ranging type deck and try and win for you? As you speak about, like trying to bring in shield dreads and creatures and stuff.
So
As it looks like both players taking mulligans.
when I saw David riffle through his sideboard one last time, the shoulders were still there. So my assumption is he's still just on the try to Doomsday, kill my opponent plan, just maybe without personal tutor in the deck.
Let's see if it pans out for them. Remember, both players in game 1 were on a mulligan down to 5. Looks like both of them are now mulliganing down to 6. Is this kind of just a thing with these decks? These like fast combo decks. Do they take heavy mulligans? Is this just a part of the deck? You understand? Oh, I'm playing that this weekend. There's a good chance I'm going to take a high number of mulligans, or is this kind of a normal?
I think for Doomsday, it's pretty likely you're going to take one again if your hand's not reasonable, to say the least. Especially with Personal Tutor leaving the deck, you actually have less effective copies of Doomsday. In game 1, it's basically 7 because you have 4 Doomsday and 3 Personal Tutor in his exact list. But given that you've removed Personal Tutor from your deck, you only have 4 Doomsday, so it's harder to just hard mold to the Doomsday. You have 2 cantrips here and 2 forces, so you're going to keep on 6. It's just the 7-card hand was too bad, I think.
And we are starting off with a ponder. Gets to look at the top 3. Put him back in any order, draw a card, or we can shuffle and then draw a card.
So it was a Lion's Eye Diamond, and Lion's Eye Diamond is really only for the Doomsday piles. It's very hard to use that one to cast spells normally.
Sure. Super powerful card, super expensive card as well, if I'm not mistaken. That card. Is it on the reserve list? I'm sure someone in chat will tell me,
And
or yourself. It seems
uh,
powerful enough to be on there.
I'll let Chad answer that one. I literally I don't try to think about what cards are on or not on that list.
Oh, there's it is on it apparently. Chat knows everything. That's the good thing about these live streams is chat knows everything,
Right.
and they're never wrong. Even if they are wrong, they're still right. It's a great, unique ability of only Twitch chat. As Christian is going to start fetching up with his scolding time, it's going to find a drum roll. Oh, a tropical island, and we're going to suspend the question pitfalls.
This is a classic play you see in Modern all the time as well.
I say
It's
not as powerful.
it's actually fine to do because I think if Christian has enough disruption, just like countering spells for a few turns, the Rhinos coming off suspend does matter, and you definitely should suspend it on turn one. I think all of your other turns are going to be more important, like just casting something like a Mystical Dispute, casting Fire Ice upkeep, or even casting Brazen Borrower. I guess it's kind of interesting that Brazen Borrower is in the deck though.
Yeah, we've got all three of these obviously in hand, as you spoke about. I did wonder about Fire and Ice and what's the utility behind that? Is that just to potentially, try and slow them down a turn by tapping down one of their lands? I doubt the 2 damage is going to be relevant, but watch me eat my
Well,
words because of it.
in this matchup, it might be because Doomsday does weird things to the life totals. Just take for the sake of argument. Suppose David casts Doomsday at 20 life, goes to 10. Christian has a pair of 4/4s, attacks for 8. David goes to 2, and then we cast Fire for the last 2 damage. That's like a very natural line of play, I think, in this matchup.
Okay, cool. So we'll see how that pans out as we're just turning and burning through our deck. There we go. We found a petal, a land, and the namesake card of the deck, Doomsday. We're deciding if we want to put them back in an order and draw one, or we're going to go for a shuffle. Doomsday top of the pile.
I think you're not allowed to shuffle that Doomsday, if I had to guess.
That's the text it says on it. Can never be
Yeah.
shuffled while you play this deck. And it looks like you're right. It is going to go straight to the hand, under to the graveyard, and we just pass a turn back. Remember, the cat Christian Fiddles is on suspend at the top of your stream.
It's funny because I think most of the time that Ponder would shuffle there because there are 2 bad cards on top of the deck, but the 3rd card down was the card that he was looking for.
Pearl's not a bad one to play. I suppose it's another ramp spell. It is, remember, close deckless tournaments. We kind of get a mix of these now in Paper Magic. Sometimes they're closed, sometimes they're open. This is closed, so they don't know what the full 75 or 95 that your opponent is playing. So we don't know if we're playing around, what counter magic could potentially be in the deck, what funky one-ofs there could be. Here comes the ice ability, like you were talking about. That's going to tap down one of our lands. But with that petal, it does give us the access to cast Doomsday this turn if we want to, with a force backup. And we're going to do it through a Dark Ritual by the looks of it. Does Christian want to fight over this? Let's it resolve. Okay, so now we're going to spend the next 20 minutes talking on stream about anything you want, ladies and gentlemen, because we're about to start making some piles.
Okay, well, the hand cam is nice here because we can sort of maybe see what goes in the pile. What's mandatory is probably Cavernous Souls and Thassa's Oracle. Those 2 are a lock. The reason being, if you don't put Cavern plus... Well, if you don't put Oracle in your pile, you literally can't win off of this Doomsday. Cavern is just insurance versus Force of Will, because obviously Christian could draw a Force of Will. Relic of Regenesis lets you beat Endurance, which is why it's in the deck, because basically you can always pop the Relic to clear out your graveyard, and then Endurance doesn't do anything versus your Oracle trigger.
Are we, we're kind of playing like, we have to win this turn or next turn. Is there a way that, or a line where we just, we sit back and chill a little bit? You know what I mean? We wait for the opportune moment to do it.
There are scenarios where you can just make a pile that passes a turn 5 times. I would say that most often happens versus a slow control deck in Legacy, where if you resolve a Doomsday, you can just make a pile that draws the entire pile while waiting, and you don't actually have to accelerate it. I think that can be dangerous in some spots. And given that David doesn't actually have a cantrip in his hand, to go alongside this, we cannot kill this turn. So it looks like the pile we're looking at is Relic, Oracle, Oracle, Cavern, Brainstorm, which does clear things out a little bit. And if you Brainstorm into the first Oracle and Cavern it out, then you play the second Oracle a turn later. I guess that gives you more devotion versus endurance. It looks like the Brainstorm might not be being put in. Maybe we get something else.
This is fascinating to me. You know what I mean? I am through and throughout. I normally play like, you know, Pioneer and Modern, and I dabble in Legacy. So it's really interesting for me to kind of see, like, you know, all these different lines of play. Like, basically, David is thinking, what do I need to play around? What is the worst
Yeah.
that could happen to me? And how can I ensure my win against that? So it looks like we're kind of drawing out. Okay, well, I forgot the name of that card. Let me find it. It is Edge of Autumn. Talk to me
Oh
about this
yeah.
one. This has got a kind of a unique ability we don't see too much.
Time Spiral had a lot of really like bizarre, unique cards that do very weird things. Wait. Okay, so that is the exiled graveyard slash library that is revealed because it's exiled face up. And those 5 cards that he picked go on top of his library in any order. Christian's obviously taking a look, getting information, and you know, a lot of information is to be gained. I know people on MTGO sometimes take a screenshot and try to compare it to a player's last known deck list, like marking things off and trying to figure out how they sideboarded exactly. Um, there's Doomsday, I would say, is a very skill testing card and hard to, you know,
It
it's
comes
hard to
across.
account. Hard to account for all possible situations where you could lose is the best way of putting it, and that's why I find the deck so challenging.
Yeah, like it comes across to me like it's one of those decks that will reward you a lot for playing it, and also playing against it. Like, you know, what kind of what the piles would be, what they could be, what they've decided that you've got to play around, and we're going to see how this pans out as we're just going to pass the turn back. Remember, 5 cards now in our library. Force Negation was the draw for the turn. Still got a land drop. Is a team event. It's where you can see behind another player kind of interacting with them. This is a
Mhm.
Pioneer, Modern, and Legacy Team Trios 25K event. So we're going to be bringing you the Modern and the Legacy seats all weekend long. 8 rounds of action today, followed by another 5 tomorrow, then a cut to top 6. So make sure you hit that follow button. Stay tuned. Get yourself comfy because there's a lot of paper magic coming to you from this channel as we're just passing the turn back. Starting off with Lotus Petal, Relic. This is so interesting. Like, I'm literally on the edge of my seat. I want to know when are we going to fire something off? Can we fire off something? When is the opportune moment? So feel free, Josh, jump in. If I'm talking, I want to know exactly the right moments I should be doing things in this matchup.
So the reason to lead with Petal first is obviously David has a force of negation that he can defend the relic with. The question is, will Christian force of negation this? I think you would force it if you have endurance in your deck, because then you can draw endurance to try to buy a turn versus the oracles.
See how we're going to go about this. So interesting to me to see, like, you know, what's going through David's head right now. I think we've got a little bit of like bluffing. We could pop the relic here, right? Pop the relic, go a card deeper, which potentially turns and burns us through our deck. We've got 2 counter spells in hand, so we can fight over potentially anything this turn. Christian decides to fetch, and the turn we're probably going to see some sort of action here. Remember, Crush and Fittles come down with add 8 power to the battlefield, but David is at 10, and we could see that line that you were talking about, potentially 8 damage getting turned sideways and a Fire and Ice to face. We know that's probably not going to happen for a Force of Will and a Force of Negation, but we'll see. Here comes a Brazen Borrower, just getting a 3/1 flyer on the battlefield. A little bit of pressure. David's happy for that to resolve. Crush and Fittle goes down to 1 suspend counter. Big draw for the turn. Was that another Minx Gamboo?
Yeah, there's one alternate art one and one regular one. One thing to note is David could have made a simpler pile with a bunch of street wraiths, except he sided out some number of street wraiths, I believe.
Okay, draw for turn. Okay, that there was the Edge of Autumn.
Yeah.
Does David need to fire this off now? Is this a thing? Can he still be patient? Looks like he's going to go for it. Sacrifice this land. Go find 1 mana
Yeah,
floating.
it's a goofy card. Like,
We can't show in camera. I'll talk you through that one. It says if you control 4 or fewer lands, search your library for a basic land card and put it into the battlefield tapped. Then shuffle your library. Cycling, sacrifice a land. That's basically it. We're sacking a land, drawing a card. It is going to be an oracle with that mana floating. We are going to play it into counter magic. Remember, there is a cavern, I believe, in the pile. I think this first one, this is quite nice what David's doing, right? He's kind of trying to bait out all the counter magic here for the first one. Can fight over it if he chooses to.
looks like he decides not. Well,
Well, yeah,
it's
he's
kind
on
of
the fence, though,
close.
right? Is
Well,
that
so
telling Christian? And is that telling Christian anything if he lets this, goes to the graveyard? That Christian goes, okay, you must have a second one.
yeah, that would be the logical conclusion. Otherwise, it'd be kind of crazy to do this.
I'm trying to think, like, what's the? Okay, just pass the turn back. Now we're going to get Christian Foothills on
Yeah.
the battlefield potentially. Remember, 2 counter spells still in hand for David.
Well, I don't think the Rhinos matter because I think David's plan is to crack Relic, draw a card, then draw the last card. Then your hand is force blue card Oracle Cavern. You cavern out, naming the either Merfolk or the other creature type
Hold on a minute.
on
So
this.
Minx can boo. This makes a big 4/4 with haste. If I'm not
Yes.
wrong, that's going to be 7 damage if it hits the battlefield. So it's going to have to be a force of negation. Get Exile Force of Will here. So it will not hit the battlefield. Just 3 damage coming across. Very close to sneaking a win out from underneath David's feet here.
Yeah.
Remember, still a lot to play for here. We think David's got it potentially locked up, but we'll see how this pans out for him. What's going through his head? What's he playing at? Is he literally thinking, what if he's got endurance? Is that the one card they're thinking of right now?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think the way like we can't really beat an endurance, but that's okay. I think you have to choose what you can lose to.
I think David
No,
also going
yeah,
for it.
I don't think there was actually a way to beat an endurance. Now that actually, hold on. No, it would have been fine if we. Um, I think if we had popped Relic with Fawn on the stack, we could have beaten endurance.
Well, sides against it. Not clear if it is Cavern or okay. Now we're going to crack. Well, it looks like we're going to eat 1 card. Makes sense doing the sequencing in the right order. 1 card deeper in case there's an endurance. And I think we're just getting rid of both graveyards here. Draw this cavern, play the cavern, tap 2 blue, play this fast as Oracle, uncountable, hits the battlefield, and win the game in takedown game number 2. Big David, sure enough for them. We're going to get a game number 3, Jarvis. Love game 3 magic. Remember, this is the 25k Team Trios event. I did say something earlier on. I got chat talking a little bit. It is a cut to top 6 tomorrow. So normally you hear cut to top 8. SCG tend to do top 12s. The way the top 6 works is if you come first and second, that's fine. You basically get a bye in the top 6. That means teams in 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th are going to play against each other, and the winners of those teams will then meet the 1st and 2nd seed into the top 4, and that's how that'll pan out. Just in case anyone's jumping in and didn't really understand what's going, how this is going. It is quite different to what we're used to. But sideboarding wise, it looks like a couple of Fire and Ices are now coming out for Christian. Didn't get a good look at what was coming in. It looks like there's definitely an endurance moved to the deck if it wasn't there already. Is that kind of a hedge of now what they've seen with relics, or do you think that was in there from the start?
I think it should have been in the deck to begin with, just to make like what usually happens in the games that Team of Rhinos wins is you set up a bunch of cards that are super annoying for your opponent, and if you just draw enough of them, then you win the game in this matchup.
That's a great way of putting it. Just super annoying cards. I've been on the side against Team of Rhinos, and everything is just annoying. Like tap your land down, put stuff on the battlefield, counter that. It is just really annoying little effects that stop your game plan, but are used to great effects. I do want to ask you about sideboarding and not actually the cards in it, and so to speak, but how much attention do you pay to your opponent? Some people like to shuffle 15 cards in. Other people just take 4 cards out, put it on the battlefield, put for, and how do you use that knowledge to your advantage? Is it a big advantage? Is it very minute detail? Is it not worth doing? Where do you sit on the whole sideboarding side of paper magic?
I would say if I've done my research and I know most of the expected deck lists, it doesn't really matter to me if they shuffle 4 or 15 in. It's pretty easy to predict. Now, where that breaks down is if my opponent's playing a deck I haven't seen a lot of, if they shuffle in 15, take out 15 at random, it's going to be a lot harder to predict exactly what they're actually doing. Sometimes it's even more exploitable where you do see someone side in 4 cards, and it's like a deck that has Leyline of the Void, and you're playing a deck that's weak to Leyline. So then you know exactly what's going on. And then that's like the situation where you should probably disguise information, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, more micro details as we've spoken about, and that will bring me on just another little little side bit of that is even if you're not sideboarding any cards in or out, do you still bluff? Do you still like pick 4 cards in and just take the 4 cards back out?
Uh, Depends on my opponent. If my opponent's not paying attention, I don't think it's worth it. Like, frankly, if my opponent's paying attention, I will do that sometimes. Or sometimes I'll simply like think about it, side something in, and then change my mind while I'm sideboarding, which has the same effect, really.
That's exactly how I'm sideboarding. I'm like, I'll bring these in, and then realize they're terrible game two. I'm like, no, they need to come out now, and kind of get it going.
Mhm.
It looks like both players have finished shuffling up. They're going to start drawing their opening hands. Got a couple of Force of Me's, a Minxcomb Boo, and think a good maybe an Endurance as well for Christian. Over on David's side, looks like we've got a bunch of lands plus a Forces, a Daze, and can't make out that card at the back of their hand, but it doesn't look too great. But we'll see what both players want to do. No, I don't think we've got a Cascade spell, so to speak, but we're very close to being able to get a turn one Minxcomb. But Christian doesn't like that. He's going to throw it back, and so is David. Again, both players
Mhm.
mulliganing down to this time 6 cards, potentially more. So that's what's the total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 mulligans so far in this match between both
Uh,
these players.
Yeah, that's expected for me. Also, I think it's funny that the Cascade deck plays 4 Seagate Restoration because it pitches to both forces.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense. Again, it can also be a land if it needs to be. But the
Yep.
one good thing about all these plays sideboarding, it does give me a chance to keep hyping on about this stream, about what it's up for grabs and everything that goes along with it. So just tune in. Welcome, round number 3. My name is Will Hall. I'm joined by Jarvis Yu, and we're bringing you the first 4 rounds of coverage today, the morning shift, before we pass it on to the afternoon shift. That in total, 4 plus 4 is 8 rounds of Magic today. Modern and Legacy. We're not going to touch the Pioneer too much. It's just going to be Modern Legacy all day today. Tomorrow we'll be coming back. That'll be 5 more rounds of the Swiss before we have a cut to top 6. I've just spoke about top 6 and how that works, but all the teams are battling out for their share of $25,000. And whoever takes down that first seat, they also get regional qualifier invites, which, let's be honest, that's where we want to be. We want to start heading towards that Pro Tour. We've got one in 2 weeks' time here in Barcelona, in Europe. Cannot wait for that because that is, again, Lord of the Rings, 2 of my favorite fandoms coming together. If you're not used to team events and how they work, 2 members of your team need to win their matches. The third one, they can lose it or still be playing by the time that 2 have been won. But the idea is you want to win 2 out of your 3 matches that are going on. Now back down to the tables. Let's see how it's kicking off. Christian just here with a turn 1 at Tropical Island. No suspend this game. David on the other side is going to crack that Scalding Tarn. Find a Underground Sea. Could see be some sort of hand disruption here or some sort of cantrip. We'll see which one he wants to go with. I didn't get a good look at the hand. And Dark
Ooh,
Ritual.
we're just stepping on the gas. Well, he has a defended turn 1 Doomsday, and we don't have any cantrips, so there's no setup. So you might as well just pull the trigger.
I'm game. I love it. Let's go. This is the reason why everyone loves Legacy Magic. It's super explosive games like this, where it's just turn 1 Doomsday. Right. Let's make a pile. I'm going to turn my library of, well, let's think at this point, it'd be like 52 cards
Mm.
into a pile of 5 and see if we go with the same line we went last time or if we're going to start trying to mix it up. We've kind of worked out there might not be any cat magic on the other side potentially, but we know because we've got hand cameras, because it's beautiful production, that there is an endurance in hand. So let's have a little look, see how this pile goes. Looks like we've definitely got 3 cards, couple of forces in hand. We're going for the. Is that a relic at the back? I think that's still the
Yep,
relic.
it's a
Yep. So
relic.
relic, cavern, Bass's Oracle. What else do we want in this pile?
Oh, I
Kind of
think
the
that
same.
yeah, it's kind of hard to figure out what to do with the rest of this pile. Like those three are a lock because that lets you beat endurance. Um, you also have forces, so you're safe to some degree. The question is how fast you want to go, I think, and I'm not good enough with Doomsday to figure that out. I think I this is probably one of my leaks. I probably should uh, work it out.
It looks like we're going to go across to our backup feature match while
Whoa.
they decide on that pile. Because let's be honest, we're just going to pick 5 cards and then we're going to go off or
Yeah.
not. So we'll see if we can get. If it does keep playing and somehow Doomsday does not win that game, there we'll let you know. But we're going to jump across to our modern table where we have got Lonely Hammer. I think that means mono white hammer versus mono green Tron. I don't know what it is, Jarvis, but every single time I do coverage, somehow a Tron deck always manages to get on the screen in front of me, and they have Tron on the battlefield. Looks like a bit of mana being floated here. Let's see if we can work out what is going on. I think we've got 1 green, 1 colorless in the pool.
Mhm.
On the other side, we've got a couple of equipment and a couple of Esper Sentinels.
So, a few interesting things about Tron here is first off, there appears to be a Gigantha companion, so that tells you a lot. It means you shouldn't worry about walking ballista. I think is the primary thing to not worry about. Um, Second, I think Tron actually has gotten a lot better. It's one of the decks that actually benefits from playing the One Ring itself.
Yeah, it kind of beats up on the 4-color mid-range decks. Like that was kind of the deck that we'll play the halfling in it, we'll play the ring, we'll have this elemental build. It'll be great. Mid-range is our thing. Yay! What goes bigger than mid-range? Tron, and we see this here. It looks like we're going to use the Beseiju to get rid of one of the new enchantments that are printed in the Lord of the Rings set. Forge anew, obviously famously in the lore that is where the swords Narsil were forged. If I start going off on Lord of the Rings lore, Jarvis, I need you to rein me in. I can't be controlled around Lord of the Rings lore. I'm very, very deep into it. I love it too much.
Fair enough. I'm looking specifically at Matt's list to see how many Oblivion Stones are played, because I think that's a key card.
I've got 2 I can see.
Yeah,
Is any in the board? 1 in the board.
yeah. Also an Ensnaring Bridge, although often with Hammer, you can avoid the Ensnaring Bridge by putting the hammer into play after you attack with the
Mhm.
creature, and you still get the damage output essentially.
Looks like a Stoneforge Mystic is going to come onto battlefield again. This card used to be banned in Modern, not anymore. It's got a very powerful effect. It went and got itself a Conjurer. As it looks like we finally finished making our pile here for David as we switch back to our legacy seat. David's going to reveal that it was an island that he had on top of his deck. Here comes, oh, this is the one that draws 2. Give me a second, ladies and
It's
gentlemen.
it's Night's Whisper.
Thank you very much. I couldn't get there quick enough. That's why you were here.
Uh,
We've got you in. Nice Whisper. Draw 2, lose 2 life. Do we want to fight over this over on Christian's side? He's either bluffing or we do have something here. He's deciding when to fire something off. We can see in the hand. There is no counter magic for it, but it doesn't mean he doesn't want to bluff it. I suppose we can spirit guide to
yeah, you
hardcast, right?
so it buys you a bunch of turns, so that's why I think it's probably correct to do. And then you have to draw a red source anyways to turn on your hand. I think I would have been inclined to fight there.
We're telling you maybe we want more cards in the graveyard for when the endurance comes down. Because remember, maybe that's the route that we're trying to go with, trying to mess up the graveyard a little bit into the deck so that the fastest oracle doesn't win the game on the spot. That might be what's going through Christian's head, but we'll see how it pans out. So not to, we're just passing the turn back to Christian here. Draws for the turn. I think that was a forced negation off the top. So that does give us a little bit more counter magic if we need be. Here comes Faster Oracle for David. Does have Cabin, does have Relic, and forced negation plus force of will if needs be. Starting off with the Relic.
He's been very mindful of endurance all of these games, really.
It's a master work. You know, I always say this about Legacy. People that play Legacies tend to just be masters of the deck of their choice. Like they know every interaction of it. I think some part is because it's very hard to chop and change between Legacy decks. It comes at a cost, but also it really rewards you for knowing all these small little details and what you need to be playing around, how to play around them, and in these combo decks even more so. David Soon, is this going to be an endurance fired off here? We've got the counter magic backup if needs be.
Both players have counter magic backup now, actually. Kind of funny to think about.
We're going to see a stack. Let's go. Endurance. Ditching the spirit guide. Endurance. We're going to exile a card to the graveyard.
I think there's exactly 2 cards left in deck, so it's still lethal.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. And that's it. That's going to be the handshake. G's to David, masterfully taking down this game of Legacy. So we should be able to jump it back across to our modern seat. We're just getting confirmation of that. A news in my ear. He's just going to secure up. But while we're that, welcome back to the virtual news booth, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Will Hall. I am joined by Jarvis Yu, and we're bringing you round number 3 of this 25k SCG Team Trios event. There is one person in the Pioneer seat, one person in the Modern seat, one person in the Legacy seat. We've seen too much Pioneer over the last couple of months. Let's be honest, it has been the RC format of choice. So we've decided we're going to stick to just Modern and Legacy all weekend long for you beautiful people at home. But if you do want to see a particular deck of any type, do type it in the chat. Let Anu know. He's going to be out on the tables. He's the one picking the feature matches to come across to bring to you on camera. So the more information he knows, the better he can bring for you all at home. It looks like we're going to a game number 2 here. Travis managed to take it down on his lonely hammer. That's mono white hammer for all you I don't know what to call it, non-hammer officiates. While mono green Tron on the right side, just doing what it normally does, turning and burning through its deck, trying to get 3 cards in order to generate 7 mana. And it looks like Matt has managed to do that, as Sylvan Scry is going to fetch up that last Tron land that is needed. Travis on the other side. Remember, this is game number 2. Access to sideboards. I'm going to have a little quick look if there's anything that's glaringly going to pop out here. I can't see too much, so I don't know if Jarvis is going to tell me that I'm wrong here. But
yeah, we're really looking for Cigar's Aid plus Colossus Hammer this turn. I think it would be the easiest way to win the game, but it does not look like that's what's going on here this turn.
So talk me through this. Some interactions that are quite unique to this matchup, right? That you don't see much very often. So if a Cigar's Aid's on the battlefield, but also a Khan is on the battlefield for Matt, how does that interaction work? Because obviously equipment are meant to equip them. That's turned off because of Khan. How does that normally work for people watching at home?
So Cigar's Aid actually creates a trigger which allows the equipment to attach. So there's no interaction there. Basically, the hammer just gets attached off the aid. But if it was via Pure Steel Paladin, that makes the equip cost 0, which Karn does not allow to be activated.
Yep, very well said there, my friend. I'm going to look at it. There's definitely a white card. I can't make out what it is, though. It might be a Cigar's Aid. It's got that yellow text. It could also just be, which is something quite unique to these decks, is an Emery's Call. Don't see it. This is like the white spell land that creates angels for 7 mana. Not normally something you want to be hard casting in a Hammer's deck, but
so it's in the deck for the sideboard Solitudes, I believe.
Oh, just as an extra land that can be ditched to Solitudes. Okay, I like that.
I
See,
think
everything makes sense.
I think the card that you were looking at was Forge Anew, if I had to guess, but I'm not 100% sure.
We'll see soon enough. That is obviously a free drop. The Hammer's deck's quite low to the ground. It's known for being low to the ground. Lots of 0 and 1 mana casting cost spells. A couple of 2s that kind of help us equip with Stoneforge Mystic or Paladin, as you were saying. This one being 3 mana is the top of the curve normally in Hammer decks. Obviously, we know and have access to the deck list. Travis Brown known for being able to bring 5 mana Solitudes to the his deck of choice. So I won't say it tops out at that, but it could be no. I think that is the Cigar's Aid in hand. I think he's just waiting for the opportune moment to put it on the battlefield, and he's got the hammer. It looks like. Does he have double hammer? That's the question. There is a blocker on the other side now though. But also, there's a ratchet bomb come down. Haven't seen that in a hot moment. Ratchet bomb, obviously, M14. I want to say.
Well, The
Okay.
original Scars of Mirrodin, but
Oh, that's beyond me. That's before me. So there you go. That's I thought I was getting old, but no. You took the cake here. Here comes Hammer equipping to this. This is gonna be a block, a little bit of life gain for Matt, dropping up to 20. Taking them up to 20, not dropping them to 20, taking them up to 20 life, sorry. But now there is an 11/11 ginger brute, a very big ginger brute on the battlefield as the Ratchet Bomb gets ticked up to 1. Remember, the equipment was attached via Sagada's aid, even though there is a Khan on the battlefield. We talked about that interaction already. But now we've got 7 mana, potentially more, and an active Khan tick down if you want to go that route. Sideboard is not really something Tron decks do. They tend to just have a lot of one-ofs in the sideboard. Quite a few options here. We could go through, we've got Ensnaring Bridges, Chalices, we've got Oblivion's Ring, we've got the One Ring. This is a card that we haven't seen cast so far in the first couple of rounds of Magic here. Very powerful, as everyone kind of knows. It's been following any sort of Magic recently since the Lord of the Rings set comes down. How is that being utilized to great effect in these Tron decks?
the protection from everything clause is pretty valuable as a fog. It's also a nice bridge card to your suppose you're playing a game versus like 4-color where you're getting Boseju'd a lot every turn. It's kind of hard to do anything meaningful to bridge the gap between having 4 mana and having 7 mana, but potentially having the One Ring active could let you keep up, and it's also something you can cast pretty easily even while getting Boseju'd.
Well, talking about casting something really easy, how about a 7-mana Sundering Titan comes down with a big old 7/10. That is going to be enough for Travis to scoop them up. We do have access to Travis's deck list, so we'll get that up on the screen for you here. We can now see the full 75 that they bought this weekend, because it's slightly different to what traditional Hammer decks that you'd see out here. We've spoken about why the Emery's cooler in here, and you think it's because it's another white card to ditch to the side choose. Makes perfect sense. But I'm looking at this sideboard and I don't see too many cards that are great in this matchup.
So I think generally there's a temptation for a lot of these sort of like synergy decks for people to overboard. The way Travis has designed this deck, you can't really overboard, especially in a matchup like Tron. If I had to suspect, not many cards are going to come in. I think Pithing Needle will probably come in. You could make a case for Surge of Salvation to counter an Oblivion Stone activation.
Okay, yeah, I suppose that's an interesting way. Do you think that's the way? Ooh. Okay, it looks like we've got a game free fuel, but I promise you they're not moving this fast. Normally, we have times it by 2, so we can try and give you the full matchup. Because remember, there is a tournament happening live in the background, so we're going to do our best to keep up with this. That is a turn 1 Esper Sentinel in with an Ornithopter, and on the other side, it is just going to be Prismatic Star, I think that is, or one of the sort of like crack effects to draw a card. We will get to draw an extra card for Travis here though, because we cannot pay the extra 1. Let's see what the turn 2 play is going to be for Jarvis. Is going to be a Stoneforge Mystic finding a Cauldron Complete. This is one of the new ones from Modern Horizons 2. Super powerful 7-drop, but we don't normally tend to pay 7 mana for it, right?
Right. I mean, it's going to cost 2 here unless there's a literally removal spell for the Stoneforge Mystic. Sometimes you see Warping Whale in these Tron decks. I did misspeak about the Surge. Surge doesn't give indestructibility, only hexproof.
Got you. And now we're going to see a Inkmoth Nexus. That's going to go Piffy Needle. Then we're going to tap 2. That's going to be get the Cauldron Complete on the battlefield, bring along a Germ token. And the good thing about Cauldron is it finishes the game very quickly, which is exactly what Travis needs to do here against Matt. We cannot let him get Tron online. But starting off a turn 2 with a Forest is exactly what Travis needs to see here.
Well,
so Matt,
the plan for Matt was to kill the Cauldron Complete with Haywire Might, but Travis played Pithing Needle first, which is obviously going to name Haywire Might in that scenario.
So why would we not crack it in response to exile it?
What do you want to kill Ornithopter with it? There's like nothing good to kill.
Can
Or
you
you
not?
can't even kill. You can't even kill Ornithopter, right? There was nothing to target.
Oh, it's non-creature, isn't it? That's why you
Yeah.
go. Okay, yeah, so it's just a block. Okay, it makes sense. It all adds up when you talk through it, chat, as a star comes down on the other side for Matthew here. I think that is Tron assembled, right? That's the tower
Yeah.
power plant. And okay, so we now have Tron assembled, turn 4. Here comes a load of mana, 1 green floating, as well as 2 colors. How can we utilize this to turn the game around? We're at 10 life, facing down a big Cauldron Complete and a lot of Ink Moths on the other side of the battlefield. The beautiful Secret Lair art. This is actually one of my favorite arts of Secret Lair.
Oh, but
this is a good
that's
one.
Oblivion's. Yeah, that is a good one. Surge does not counter this, as pointed out, and there is a Surge in Travis's hand. It does not remove Cauldron Complete, though. It is destroy.
I'm not completely sure it destroys land either. So we could start getting in there the Ink Moths. No, it does not destroy land.
It says non-land on it, yeah.
We've got a line. Travis sees it. He's going with it. You know what I mean? There's a reason we've got 3 Ink Moths on the battlefield. Let's go that way. We're going to blow at end of turn. It's going to keep the Cauldron on the battlefield. Remember, that has indestructible. It's going to get rid of everything else, including that Pithy Needle. What's the follow-up for Matt here? Just a mana rock.
He's looking for something. Even a Karn would do it, because you can just Karn plus on the Cauldron Complete, and it would cause it to fall off.
I think it's got a Karn in hand.
Actually, you probably don't want to do that, because then you get hit for 7 instead of 5. So maybe you get Ensnaring Bridge, or the One Ring if you have a land. Yeah, and he does.
Okay, here it is. We should get a 1 ring counter for this weekend of how many times we're going to see it on coverage.
Sure.
It comes to the battlefield. It gives Matt protection from everything for a turn because it was cast. He also gets to draw a card when he taps it. 1 corruption counter goes on it. Remember, the powerful part of this card is you draw the cards before you take the damage. So 1 card deeper for Matthew here. How can Travis bounce back from this?
So it gives you protection, but it does not give your Planeswalker protections. And I'm sure Travis knows that. Yeah, immediately Karn is dead.
And there comes just passing the turn back. Now the ring taking 1 point of damage to Matt, dropping him down to 3. Matt's going to instantly draw 2 more cards. A lot of mana to his disposal and a lot of cards in hand. Going to start turning and burning through the decks. Obviously got something in mind that they're looking for. I'm having a little look at what we could find. There's a couple of Sundering Titans. There's a Cityscape Leveler going on in here. Potentially maybe just another ring we're looking for. A Worm Coil Engine.
That's good here.
Because the name say, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, normally obviously we're trying to go get ourselves an Ensnaring Bridge or something. Not ideal when you're drawing all these multiple cards and keeping lots of cards in our hand. But we do find ourselves another ring. That's going to give us protection for at least another turn, kind of time warp effects. Into an O-Stone. And just pass the turn back. How much mana have we got on the other side of the battlefield? 11 mana so far. Travis just thinking, what do I need to do? Just need 1 turn. Just need an opening here. And yep, we're passing the turn back. Matt gets to untap. So that's just so everyone looking at watching at home. That's 2 rings at cast so far this game. Matt, grip for the cards. A lot of cards. So many options.
Is it possible that none of the cards are good? Is that what Matt's? I guess you get to draw 2 more cards, so
it's very possible all these cards just either turn and burn for land or don't do much at all. It could just be the dawdling effect, but we need to find something. That's a Sundering Titan. Sundering Titan, not great. You remember, our life total is too low. These Ink Moth Nexus could just get this over with. Sundering Titan is going to take out this forest and 1 plains. Pass the turn back. Oblivion Stone doesn't do anything against these Ink Moth Nexuses. Cauldron Complete lines up very good against anything trying to block it. Travis going through the options in his head. What does he need to go through? Nothing here. It's got reach.
Is it frozen? Yeah, it froze.
So apparently just, we've got a little bit of a problem there with the coverage. Remember, that is Time Warp Magic. So while we're going to try and sort that out in the background for you all, welcome to round number 3. My name is Will Hall. This is Jarvis U Team Trios event all weekend long. If you're a fan of the Modern and Legacy seats, this is the stream for you. We are going to be bringing you every single round this weekend is going to have Legacy and Modern in it. We're not giving Pioneer too much love this weekend. It's had a whole season, a whole RC season, so people have seen those decks quite a lot. So we're going to be focusing mostly on Modern and Legacy. It's round number 3 of 8 rounds in total today before we come back tomorrow, and that's going to be another 5 rounds with a cut to top 6. That's correct, ladies and gentlemen, cut to top 6. Not something you usually hear, and I'm going to explain to you how that works. If you are the first and second seed, congratulations. Your team get to buy. Go get yourself something to eat, chill out, have a little think about what's going to happen in the top 4. But who's going to be the other 2 components? That is going to be teams in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th seed. They're going to battle it out, and the winner of those 2 teams then get to advance to the top 4 and battle it out in the final. It looks like we get to go back to the match now, so we can see how this game is going to pan out and who is going to be able to take it down. Game number 3, Travis Brown on Mono White Hammer versus Matt. Cannot pronounce that second name if I try to. On Mono Green Tron. 2 rings have been cast so far. O-Stone's cracked. That's going to get the Stoneforge Mystic on the other side of the battlefield off. But we do get to untap with a lot more mana. A lot of cards in hand. Didn't manage to do too much of it last turn. Did we manage to draw anything else? Not sure. Matt's trying though. 2 more cards deeper from the ring. That's a second trigger, second counter on it. That means we'll be taking 2 more in our upkeep if we can't find a way to either reset it or answer the ring. Here it is. Here's another ring. That's going to be able to reset not only the counters, but give us another protection from everything for a turn. We're going to just use all our mana up this turn with a expedition map. We're going to go find ourselves another tower. That's going to give us another 3 mana. But we're not really turning this into a W right now, Jarvis.
Yeah, we are just treading water. Oh, well,
Okay.
maybe
Scrap
that turns it around.
Culture Complete does have a bit more text on it than just indestructible.
It does block Worm Coil pretty well.
Let's see what we can do. Okay, Giganta. It looks like we're just hard casting that, playing 3 maps onto the battlefield for 3 turn. Now, can we turn this into a W? Here comes a Shadow Spear. Shadow Spear, 2 mana. Equip that to the Ornithopter. It's flying.
So Matt was at 1 life. That's the only explanation. Matt was on 1 life. Boseiju was put on the stack, targeting either Shadow Spear or Ornithopter. And I guess I don't know what happened after that. I don't know who actually won.
I think the ring trigger. Hold on a minute. What's going on? Are we going? We're going to try and get confirmation from Anu what's exactly happening then. Who managed to take that game down for their team? He's going to say, I can hear him in my ear. Who took that down, Anu? Travis's team. So the mono white hammer deck managed to take that down. So I think the conclusion was the ring actually ended up doing enough damage to take down the Tron player there. So that's how that game concluded. A little bit, hard for us to keep up with occasionally in the booth, especially at 2 times speed fuel. But remember, we are trying to bring you 2 matchups in their entirety, as much magic as possible for you all here at home. And if you enjoy that, I need you to hit that follow button. That's the first thing I need you to do. I need you to watch this channel. The more you're here, the more the viewer stats up, the more potential sponsors we get, the more places and games and tournaments we can fly new to bring you this beautiful coverage. Remember, this is a 1-man band. 1 person putting on this whole tournament by themselves, out of their suitcase, multiple cameras, multiple angles, organizing all the overlays, getting the casters in the booth at the same time. Let me tell you, we're drama queens at time. And the best way to support them is by watching, by hitting that follow button. If you do have a Prime, throw at him. Come on, do yourself a favor. You love this channel. You love Paper Magic. This is the place to use your Amazon Prime. But even on top of that, you can also pay for Amazon Prime if you want to go there. It's all up to you. The best thing you can do is support this channel, is watching it, enjoying Paper Magic as much as me, as much as Jarvis, and just seeing this awesome formats play out. We don't get to see too much Paper Legacy anymore. We do, because Anu has flown across the country, set up his cameras, put on the stream to fully bring it to all you home at watching. I think there's around about 800 of you watching in here right now. Hopefully you're enjoying it as much as we are. I think that's going to be it for round number 3. Me and Jarvis will be back for round number 4 shortly. We're going to pass it back to Anu, where he's going to kind of fill the dead time, tell you about the sponsors and everything that's going on. So we'll speak to you all shortly. See you soon.